Good afternoon, everyone, and a happy Sunday. Thank you for joining on a Sunday afternoon for the educational session on evaluation and humorous speech contest. Before we proceed with this session, let me share the rules of the meeting. First, please keep yourself in mute all times. Second, please keep your videos on. This will help the speaker to engage with the audience better. And third, only unmute yourself when required during the question and answer session. These are the simple few rules that we are going to adhere to today for the next 1 hour. Thank you once again, everyone, for joining, and hope we have a wonderful and engaging session today. With no further ado, let me call upon our Division F Director, Toastmaster Swapnil, to share a few words before we start with the session.
Thank you, Toastmaster Lipika, Master of Ceremony, for the day. I will not take more time. I really feel contest, it's so important in Toastmasters. I'm so grateful to my mentors who helped me to excel through contest in my professional and Toastmaster journey. Distinguished Toastmaster Beena, Distinguished Toastmaster Mukta, who taught me tips and tricks to crack evaluation contest, even though Joe and Vasu helped me to crack humorous speech contest. Toastmasters contest help you to excel in your journey, help you to become more confident enough. One fine day, my mentee, Toastmaster Meghna, she said, I want to participate in table topic contest. I said, table topics? I was really furious to participate in table topics. But then I thought, no, it's my job to train her for the table topic contest. So I learned first and then I trained her. And imagine what happened. She participated in table topics club level contest, and she also pushed me to participate in my club level contest. And we both won the club level contest. Again, we participated in the area level contest. We both won area level contest as well. She was the winner, I was the runner-up. That's a different story. And here you could see Beena, who was my mentor for evaluation contest. I competed her at area level contest. Those are some moments you will nourish forever, you will cherish forever, but the learning will be permanently with you. Not just the confidence, but the skills which you learn in preparation of Toastmasters contest. I learned how to write humorous speeches. I learned how to give spot-on evaluations. So we are, I think, blessed enough to have 4 amazing speech contests in our district. That is humorous speech contest, evaluation speech contest, and in the next term we will be having table topics and international speech contest. So I'm really happy that Division F program quality extended team, they have organized this special session for all our members to prepare for club level as well as area and beyond contest division as well. We will be having 2 sessions today. Toastmaster Lipika will introduce you or will take it over further, but I will say excel in your Toastmasters journey while you prepare for Toastmasters contest. Learn to excel, and definitely it will be with you forever. Thank you, Toastmaster Lipika. Over to you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Swapnil, for the address. Now we'll start with our 2 sections that we have. The first session we'll have on evaluation and the second on humorous speech contest. To start with the very first session, we have a distinguished Toastmaster, Beena Mandrekar, with us. She had been a Toastmaster for over 10 years and is a member of On Toastmasters Club. She's interested in mentoring Toastmasters and other students to give good performances. She is visiting faculty at Symbiosis College of Management and teaches business communication. Distinguished Toastmaster Beena Mandrekar. Evaluate to excel. Evaluate to excel, Distinguished Toastmaster Beena Mandrekar.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Master of Ceremonies and good afternoon to all the members of Toastmasters. I'm so happy to see Goa flashing all over the place. I've just been to Goa and back for Ganpati, and I'm thinking that a slice of Goa has come back with me to Pune. Farida, Akbar, all these people, so nice to see them. And of course, our very own Puneites. Now, today we are going to talk about evaluation regarding the contest, vis-a-vis the contest. And as the title says, evaluate to excel. Excel has a synonym to win. And remember, in the club, at the club level, we are going to send 2 winners, first and second, which is a bonus for us. So even if you don't, yes, I think that deserves a round of applause. 2 winners will go up to the area level. 2 winners from the area will go up to the division level. So that's quite heartening to know and to hear. So now let's quickly go back to the evaluation contest. First of all, I would suggest to all of you taking part in the evaluation contest to download the judges ballot. 1179 it goes by, and it's the judges ballot, and that is what the judges look at. At the back of the ballot is given the criteria. So that should be your Bible. If you are a contestant, look at the criteria. Remember, as a contestant, you have to put your hand in the judge's pocket, pick up the marks and put them in your own pocket. And how best you can do it, follow what the judges do and mimic it. Now, if you look at the criteria, 100 marks are divided into 4 parts. The first one is called analytical quality. Analytical quality takes 40 marks, no less, almost 50% of the entire marking system. And then now let's look at what analytical quality is. Okay, I've just got it here. Effectiveness of evaluation is the analytical quantity. The evaluation contestant points out the strengths and the weaknesses of the speaker's presentation. Are the comments clear and logical? Were specific strengths and weaknesses identified? So what does this whole thing entail? As contestants, we must remember, do not, with capital letters, do not paraphrase the test speaker's speech. We are often tempted to say, and you test speaker, you spoke about the episode that happened yesterday and how you went to the market and how you took your mother with it and then how you met some. All this is all paraphrase. We are not interested. We've all heard the speech and we all know what the test speaker spoke. What is your job as a contestant? To look at the strengths and the weaknesses. Strengths means commendation. Weaknesses means recommendation. Remember these 2 things. Now, start brilliantly. Remember that you've got 2.5 minutes to 3 minutes to make a little speech of your own. So don't make staccato remarks like, let me tell you, you said this, your speech was amazing. We always start this way. Dear test speaker, I must tell you, your speech was amazing. Judges are tired of the word amazing. Amazing has at least 15 synonyms. Look it up in the thesaurus and use other words than amazing. Wonderful. I was excited to hear the speech. It sent goosebumps up my skin. Say things like that. What you felt, the emotion you felt. Don't say amazing. Amazing is a blanket word which covers nothing. It just shows up your lack of vocabulary. So first things first, do not paraphrase. Second thing, do not use the word amazing. Also do not use the word kudos, which some people say kudos. These 2 out of the lexicon. So I'm so happy to hear. It's all about you. It's a subjective evaluation. You are not representing anyone. So I heard your speech. I felt, I saw, and I will take back home is what you're going to tell the test speaker. So you open brilliantly. Sometimes what I do is I piggyback the test speaker's speech. Suppose a test speaker is talking about a mosquito. I had one speech, test speaker talking a whole 5 to 7 minutes about how a mosquito bit him and how he got hassled and irritated and how his whole dinner was spoiled, etc., so on and so forth. So then I took it up saying that I'm sure mosquitoes can distinguish between good blood and bad. And they found yours good indeed. And so that mosquito was chasing you. So you piggyback on the test speaker speech. That makes a wonderful connect for the judges as well as for the test speaker. Remember, if this is an online contest, you and the test speaker are pinned side by side. Whatever reaction the test speaker gives, the judges are watching, the audience is watching, and it reflects on your evaluation. So please make him happy, keep him smiling. How? First of all, you have connected with the test speaker by using a part of his speech as your opening. Now go to his strengths. I like the way you used the narrative to tell us your story of the market episode or whatever it is. Now, I like this, I like that is fine. But what of that did you like? So please offer substantial examples to what you liked. What are his strengths? Example. What are his weaknesses? Example. Please combine what you comment on with example. And when you recommend, remember, you might say that your dialogue delivery was inefficient or whatever you want to say. You spoke this instead. If you had given a stronger voice to the mother and a weaker voice to the son, it would have been more effective. So remember, give an alternative suggestion, because the speaker will say, okay, so what? You didn't like that. So what am I supposed to do with this thing that you've given me that you didn't like? Okay, use it this way. Offer a suggestion that is productive, that is encouraging and practical. Okay, so here we are at the analytical level where the judges looks at your analytical quality, where you delineate or you point out the strengths with examples, the weaknesses with examples, where your speech is clear and logical. What does that mean? That the transitions are smooth. You move from opening to the body to the conclusion. Okay, now we are 40 marks more or less done, where you're talking about the strengths. Now come the recommendations. When you move to the recommendations, don't start with negative conjunctions like but, however, although, because these are words which again will reflect on that speaker's face, and he'll say, oh God, here it comes, although, but, however, means all my negative points are now coming out, oh my God, and his face becomes crestfallen. Use positive conjunctions like and. As good as your speech was, I would have liked. And you spoke this, and if you had done it this way. The word and is very magical. It is inclusive. It is not exclusive, or it does not exclude. So use such conjunctions so that you take the speaker in your stride or in his stride. You carry on with the speaker along with you. Here's where empathy comes. My suggestion is fall in love with your speaker. Okay. You have never heard a speech like he has spoken just now in the 5 to 7 minutes, prior to the 5 minutes you've had to do your evaluation. You loved this about him. You liked the way he made evocative images of the story that he told you. You liked his reference to that. And then you also liked this. So fall in love with your speaker. Tell him, I loved the way you did this. I enjoyed the way you took us on a trip to Mahabaleshwar and back, or wherever he took you on a trip. Tell him that you liked this. And also say that while we were driving along with you to Mahabaleshwar, I wish you had shown us some more of the scenery along as you were going on the bike or in the car. I wish you had shown us, especially when you stopped to have your first cup of tea, you would have shown us the scenery and the green grass growing around, or the green trees canopying across the road, etc. So here's your suggestion or your recommendation coming in smoothly, okay, without hurting him, without making him realize that this is a recommendation, but he will take that in his stride and he will accept it. The judges will also be pleased to know that you are so good in suggesting points with examples that, okay, well, for recommendations, they may give you 30 on 30. So 40 marks is analysis, recommendations is 30, where you may give 2, perhaps 3, if you think it's really necessary, recommendations. You may have written 15 recommendations for the speech. Please cancel 12. Only focus on the 3 and suggest those to him. Suggestions. See how Toastmasters uses the words comments and suggestions. See in pathways where they say you excel at, you may want to challenge yourself with, you may want to work upon. Look at these words. They're so positive. They're so encouraging. Okay, they're sensitive words. They're not, oh, you did this so badly. Oh, you ought to have. In the modal auxiliary, do not use must, ought to, shouldn't. These words should not be used in your speech. This whole demeanor of yours, your voice, your usage of the semantics, the grammar, and the way you look at the camera, or if it's offline, look at the people, not only at the test speaker. Remember, you're not going to tell the test speaker, you did this, you did this. No, the speech was this. The test speaker has to dissociate himself from the speech. We've been taught in psychology that when a child does something wrong, we don't say you are a bad child. What do you say? What you did was wrong. Your action was wrong. So the child's ego is not hurt, and the action can be repaired or redone. Similarly, the test speaker, it's not he that he's wrong and he's sloppy and he doesn't do a good job. It's not that. It's the speech. Please look at the speech in the entirety. Don't say you all the time. So these are little nuances if you use in your evaluation. You will get by the judges, and the judges will happily hand over the marks that you're supposed to get. So you have the recommendations 30, and then the technique is 15. What is the technique? Manner in which the evaluator presents his comments and recommendations. Sensitive to the feelings and needs of the speaker, yet inspires and encourages him in his future speaking efforts. Very, very necessary. You can't, I told you, keep his face smiling. He's pinned to yours. Keep his face smiling. Encourage him so that in future he comes again to give a speech, and in his club, in his area, he speaks again and again with the positive recommendations that you have given. So that is the technique. Again, 15 marks is the technique. So 40 and 30, 70. 30 is the recommendations. 15 is the technique, the way you recommend. Now we have done with 85 marks, and we're left with only 15 marks. And that, my dear friends, is the summary. Very often, our endorphins are released after the 1.5 minutes of speaking. First, we are nervous and we don't know how to start, but we somehow started. And then we get carried away with the sound of our own voice. And we say, wow, I'm speaking rather well. Let me go on and on. And here we are, regardless of the time or the signals that is flashing around, and we are going on and on. And one more thing I would like to tell, and one more, and the red card is suddenly flashed in front of us. We have not even touched the summary. Now what do we do? Typically, a Toastmaster does not want to time out. So he sees the red card and he says, overall, very nice speech. Thank you very much. Contest chair. Toink. He's lost 15 marks for the summary. Got it? So please time yourself. Please, your biological clock, never mind the red card, yellow clock. Your biological clock should be working for 1.5 minutes. You do the analysis, recommendations for the next half minutes. That's 2, maybe 2.5 minutes. And then when the yellow card is about to turn, start your summary. When you've seen enough of the yellow card and some, then you start your summary. So that you okay, now coming to the summary. What do they say about the summary? How the evaluator concludes the evaluation. Conclusion should briefly summarize the evaluator's comments and suggestions. Comments is commendation, suggestions, recommendation, and be positive and encouraging. Got it? Commendation, recommendation, and be positive and encouraging. What have you already said about the comments? That this was good. What have you already said about the recommendations? This and this. So summarize that in that. Now, don't suddenly think, oh, I forgot that one point. I forgot to add that one point. Let me push it in the summary. Bad idea. Because the judges don't look kindly at any addition to the summary. The summary has to be a summary of what, a brief speech of what you have already told, so that succinctly you conclude what you've already told them, and they will give you 15 marks for that. If you leave 15 seconds for the summary and give exactly what you have told in short and end on a positive note. Don't say you've done this and well. If you incorporate the 2 recommendations I gave you, which is dialogue delivery and some other thing, you'll do a good job. Thank you, contestant. No, conclude with an encouraging line at the end and say, overall, I think you've done a wonderful job, my dear test speaker. Your message came through clearly and I will take it home with pleasure. Something like that. End it so that it doesn't leave a nasty taste in his mouth. So he goes on thinking, oh, she liked my speech after all. Her last line was so encouraging. She took my message home. Wow. And he's going back happy, smiling. Judges are happy. They're giving you marks. Fat, almost 90%, 95, I don't know. And then you are the winner. So that is the whole gist of how you give an evaluation. It has to be your own speech for 2.5 minutes with an opening, body and summary. It has not to be a paraphrase. It has not to use continuously jaded words like amazing, kudos, etc. And it has to be it has to end on an encouraging note with the summary of what you have already said. When I do my evaluation in the contest, on the sheet of paper that is given to us by the SAA or by the contest chair, I quickly transcribe. As the speaker is speaking, I quickly write down what he's speaking in point form or in short form, the whole thing while he's speaking. Then I get those 5 minutes to organize my speech. So I turn it around, divide it into 2 parts. I write commendations and recommendations on either side. Look at it carefully and tick mark only those important ones which I think should be used, and the recommendations which are with examples. Remember, with examples. Okay. Then I combine it into a neat speech with a great opening, and I tell it as it is, and then end on a wonderfully positive and encouraging note. Now, if you go into the contest with a piece of paper, no judge is going to mark you down. You are surely allowed to take your paper, because in the 5 minutes for a 2.5 minute speech, you cannot remember the whole thing by heart. Although there are some people who do, and they get rid of the paper and they come and tell. But that doesn't make a difference. You can always refer to your evaluation sheet, which has been offered to you, and then but don't keep doing this, and then you did this, and then you did this, because you have to look at the audience again and again. So reference is what I'm suggesting. You look, then you look back again at the camera if it's online. You look back at the audience who are sitting. 1 point, 1 person. So your eye contact is maintained. Your voice modulation and pauses come clearly. All this is marked by the judges or noticed by the judges, although there are no points to mark voice modulation, etc. But it adds to the points that they give you. And that is how they combine their marks, and they're impressed overall. Okay. Initially, they've been given this guide to separate. But overall, if you give an impressive speech for 2.5 minutes with an open body and conclusion, and with the necessary things that I've just talked about, the judges are so impressed with this whole, it's like you're gift parceling something to them with a ribbon and saying, okay, here. Then the judges open the ribbon and they say, wow, what a lovely 2.5 minute speech this was. And they mark you brilliantly. So this is what you have. Don't give staccato movements to your speech. Okay, now I have told you about the commendations. And now I will come to the recommendation. Don't do it like that. Smoothly, seamlessly go from one to the other. Of course, refer to the word I recommend. Refer to the word my comments are, or my suggestions are, or my. So it gives a sort of a sticker to the judge saying that, oh, here he comes with his good points. Here he comes with his recommendations. And now if I have to summarize, so now the judge knows exactly. Our brain is wired like that, brackets, brackets, brackets. So if you give the judge, okay, now I'm doing this bracket, but not ostensibly, just a little bit, they can easily mark you. It makes marking easy, and that's what you want. Like I said, put your hand in his pocket and pull out the marks. So this is my story of evaluation. This is how to do it. And I don't know if there's any more time, but if there are questions, I'm willing to answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Beena ma'am. So we are open for any questions. If anyone has, you can put it in the chat box, or you can unmute yourself and ask your questions. We do have time for that. Any questions, anyone?
Okay,
Otherwise, I
would
think
like to
everything is
ask-
all clear.
Yeah, Ritesh,
Yeah.
Ritesh wants to ask. Yeah. Go ahead.
Hello, Beena ma'am.
Yes.
Hello, Beena ma'am. Like, suppose a test speaker is speaking and I pointed out a few negative points, and the list is little higher, means 5 negative points I'm getting, but the positive side is only 1 or 2 points. Should I say that there are means should I state that all 5 negative points, or should I limit to minimum, like 2 positive and 2 negative? That way I will earn more points from the judges, or should I go with 2 positive and more negative? That way I will earn more points from the judges.
See, it's not about 2 plus 2 is 4 or 2 plus 3 is 5. It's not like that. From the 5 negative points, I recommend that you do not give all 5 at all, never. Just pick out 2 important negative, not negative recommendations, 2 important recommendations. Probably one about the content and probably one about the technique or the delivery. Just 2, or maybe one extra one for voice modulation or whatever you want. But go into the content, see if that content has moved you or not, if that content is deep enough to give you the message or not. Go into the content. That is an important place where you look for recommendation. And secondly, if you want to talk about voice modulation, gestures, or the technique or the delivery or movement, then you may. But I think that's about it. Sometimes, like some of these winners, they've talked about how there is no ownership seen in your speech. You gave us a speech and you gave it to us. You didn't own it, or you are not one with it. I wish you had taken a little ownership with your speech. So this is another aspect which you can look at. So don't point out all his faults like that -5 and all. No, just cancel the 3 which you think are unimportant. Just keep 2 and commend him on standing in front of an audience, first of all, when he's not a with all his nervousness and all, he's come in front of a strange audience comprising of 35 to 40 people. That in itself is an excellent thing on his part to have come across. That is number 1 commendation you can give. If you don't find enough to comment upon. Then the second one is, of course, you will find something nice to tell him about. And then 2 recommendations. Don't give 5 negative. Don't even talk negative. Say recommendations. Negative is a negative word. So in your mind, think all positive thoughts. Then your recommendations come in gently as a suggestion. Okay? Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Beena ma'am. I see Mukta ma'am has raised her hand. Yes, ma'am. Can you, yeah.
Yeah, so thanks, Beena. It was really fantastic to listen to you and get a all the analysis on the judge's ballot. I have a question. When the test speaker has completed the test speech, the contest chair asks the timer for the timer's report. Is this an essential thing to do or not, to find out the time of the test speaker's speech? Because is that relevant to the contestants?
See, there are two schools of thought. I thought that there is no need to find out the time at all. But I know some of our seniors, like, our ex-division director and all these people, they make it a point to talk about the time taken by the test speaker. Now, this can be a double-edged sword, because if the test speaker has taken 4.5 minutes or just 5 minutes, and he's made it to the green, and it's declared that he took 5 minutes for this speech, that becomes a handle for the evaluator to say that you had 5 to 7 minutes, but you used only 5. So that could be a recommendation on the part of the evaluator to say that you had so much to tell, but you condensed it in such a manner that you finished it up in 5. If you had used 2 more minutes and given us some more examples, such as this, this, and this, then that would have been more effective. There is no rule in the book, I think, that says that you should tell or you should not tell. But the practice has been, I don't know, when I had just joined the Toastmasters, no one mentioned time of the test speaker. No, Farida is saying no. But all these brilliant Arvind and all these people, they all make it, Bombay people I know make it a point to mention the time. I had once spoken to Arvind about it. He's saying, of course you have to mention the time. Now I don't. You tell me.
Yeah, so I can see Farida shaking her head, and I too have been a Toastmaster for now over 16 years. Correct. And I have never had the time being mentioned, because it is not our prerogative, I feel, as a contestant to know it. We are judging them on what they have presented in form of content. And even if the speech is 5 or 5.5 minutes, it can be as impactful or as effective without having to go all the whole hog of 7.5 minutes. So I think, Beena, since we are a new district now, 125, it might be a good recommendation for you as a senior Toastmaster and a presenter of this evaluation segment to suggest to the district that we have something which is standardized throughout the district, whether the test speaker's timing should be divulged or not.
Yeah, so I can put it up to the district director and ask her to either have it or, not have it at all, because that is not a prerogative, as you said.
Right.
Yeah. So
Thank you.
Make a recommendation.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am, for the question.
Okay.
Any other members have any questions? You can unmute yourself, or you can put in the chat box or raise your hand to the virtual button.
Okay, I have a little bit of a suggestion that many people have asked me, that if the speech is too good, it's terrific, then what recommendations can we give if the speech is too good? Now, there is a fail-safe method here. When the contest chair decides on the test speaker, he should choose. Many people raise their hand, hey, take me, I want to be the test speaker. And I have noticed many area directors who have not had a chance now, because they are area directors, to compete or contest, then they want to be a test speaker. Now, by virtue of being area directors, it is assumed that they speak well. So we get fantastic speakers at the club level even, who cannot be recommended with anything much. So I suggest that as a contest chair, choose wisely, take an average speaker who can be open to suggestions and whose speech, can be open to good suggestions and recommendations. So there is no such thing as a perfect speaker, and it is a subjective evaluation. So what you think about the speaker can be told, because that's your feeling, and you're not a representative of the audience. So you can tell them that, hello, this is what I think. you are very good in your speech, but there are certain areas. Area number 1 is this, and I'd suggest that you put it this way. And area number 2, okay, even if you have one recommendation, but there has to be a recommendation, because you will lose 30 plus 15 marks if you don't recommend. So you have to go deeper into the content of the speech, or look carefully or clearly into his delivery and find a recommendation each and give it. It's for your own good that you find. Anyone else has anything else to add to this? This has been quite a question in every contest session and evaluation session. Mukta, you have anything to say? No. Farida?
I usually, if somebody's an outstanding speaker, Beena, I just tell them I'm overwhelmed. And my little brain is now imagining what I would have done if I were in your place. So I twist it all around where I become the speaker. Okay. And give one simple recommendation. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right.
Okay.
I see Jay Bharatwaj has raised his hand. Maybe
Hi,
this
Beena,
can be
ma'am.
the last question. Yeah.
Yes. Hi, Beena, ma'am. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good afternoon, actually.
Yes.
So, like most of the evaluations will follow the CRC approach: recommendations, and then you summarize. I mean, it's got so boring. Like every time you hear this is going to be the pattern. Are there any different ways? For example, the speaker has more negatives, so you'd like to start with the recommendation. I mean, you're playing with emotions here. So then suddenly you tell not to feel so dejected, and then put in the commendations and raise his morale up. So it's like strings. So do we always have to follow the CRC approach, or are there other methods?
So I feel if I gave a bad speech, I wouldn't like to hear bad things first. I'm sorry. Although they say, do you want to hear the good news or the bad news? Okay, tell the good news, tell the bad news and get it out of the way. No, as a speaker, I want to hear at least one line, one statement from my evaluator that it was a good speech. Mummy, I will cry myself silly if you tell me the bad things first. So no, I'd suggest that don't start with recommendations. Start with a positive note and end with one also. So I'm not saying CRC and summary. I'm saying CR, summary. So commendations, recommendations, summary, and in the summary end with a positive note, so that your one-line commendation comes at the bottom of the summary. But the summary this is in the contest, in terms of the contest. So the summary is required, otherwise you lose 15 marks. Don't waste time on CRC. Spend time on CR, summary, and end with a positive note. That is your C, one line C in the end. So CRSC, you can call it. I mean, we are so fond of acronyms that we love to put everything in short form. But I'd suggest open brilliantly with all his good points, suggest a few recommendations with a good technique and love and pure joy. You're just telling him that, listen, Baba, you must do it this way, please. And come on, take him up. And then summarize what you've just said and end on a positive note. Very simple. Yeah. Okay, Jay.
Just want to say one thing. I have to share this with you all, okay? Because I feel very proud of our speakers clubs in Goa. And we were trying very hard to teach the junior speakers clubs, that means from the 9 to the 11 years, what CRC is. And there was one very unique child that came up, okay? He's 9 years old, right? And he put up a sign, positive. This is mainly for you, Jai Batraj. What I like to say positive about your speech. Oh. And then he had another sign. What could have been better? Okay. Oh. And he held it up. Okay. And then he says in summary, and he came up with it. There were no recommendations again. Okay. Yeah. He just summarized it. And that was absolutely unique for a 9-year-old child. We learned as mentors for that group, correct, how useless we are. Okay. All right.
I know. As we grow into adulthood, we become, you're right, ruthless.
Yes.
You know, like Wordsworth said, you know, you come trailing clouds of glory, and then you grow into a man, and then you get all the sins of the world till you become an old person again. Yeah. Okay. I agree. Yeah. So thank you very much for this lovely session and interaction. I enjoyed myself before my lunch.
Thank you, distinguished Toastmaster Beena ma'am, for that wonderful session on evaluation. And I hope people had made a note of what to do and what not to do in the contest, and hope to see everyone participating in the contest soon. Thank you, Beena ma'am, once again.
Thank you. I will take your leave now because I have another meeting, Aun's meeting. So I have to get ready. Thank you very much, and see you all, Farida,
Yeah,
thank you.
and all of you.
Just a second, if we can
Just a second.
Photo. Yeah.
Yeah,
Photo.
we'll request everyone to switch on the video for at least 2-3 seconds. We'll take a quick photograph before we move to the next section.
I have to open my mouth here, please, if you don't mind, Swapnil. It is such an insult not to put your videos on when you have someone speaking.
True.
It's an absolute insult. Please, Toastmasters, don't do this in the future. Okay? If you can't show your upper half, show your lower half.
Deepika, yes, we can click a picture.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Give me one more second. I'll just click one more. Yeah, done.
Are we done?
Yes, done. Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Beena ma'am. Over to you.
Bye. Thank you.
Yes, so moving to the next, another engaging session that we have for the humorous speech contest. For that, today we have another distinguished Toastmaster, Joe Rajan. He is a behavior and communication trainer, a public speaker, and an entertainer. He is working as a training manager at HDB Financial Services. Has been in learning and development domain for nearly 15 years. Has been also an active member for Toastmasters since 7+ years. 2-time district humorous speech finalist, 2-time Tall Tale winner, evaluation and table topic division first runner-up in international speech contest, district semi-finalist, founding president of Backpackers Toastmasters Club, past president's distinguished area director, and 7 Triple Crown award. Let's welcome distinguished Toastmaster Joe. DTM Joe, just Joe King. Just Joe King, distinguished Toastmaster Joe.
Thank you, Toastmaster Olympica. I'm not just joking. Hope I am audible and visible. Thank you, Olympica, for that confirmation. District officers, Toastmasters, and guests. The best part about an humorous speech is that when you tell everyone that you're going to deliver a humorous speech, they will laugh. But finally, that day when you deliver that humorous speech, nobody will laugh. Don't worry. I'm just joking. We have a session where we will get to know about a few nuances of how to make it as an interesting, humorous speech. Let me share my screen. We will go through a few interesting slides, and there are some activities too. That's how we will run this session. All right, so welcome again to the Just Joking session. Is a humorous speech difficult or easy? Is it as complicated like this, or is it as easy like Kabet's? What do you feel? Let's quickly have some responses. What do you think is the most difficult part in preparing or in delivering a humorous speech contest? Let's talk about the difficulty part. Whatever you think is the most difficult part. You can unmute and answer. You can put it in the chat box.
Hello. Good afternoon, Toastmaster Joe. This is Toastmaster Akshay. Finding a very funny jokes. Like sometimes we are like we are stuck. We are stuck like to find a joke. So that will be one this, and make how to bring a flavor. So that will be one difficult part. And sometimes we are doing a mimic, and sometimes we are doing some female sound to male sound. So that will be one mimic. One difficulty, I would say, in terms of
Okay.
humor speech.
So thank you, Akshay. Jokes getting or becoming animated is the difficulty. So anybody else, just one word, just two words, whatever you feel is just, you don't need to explain, just one word or
Yes.
two words. What's the
Sometimes you practice a joke and you deliver it, but it doesn't crack on the stage. And sometimes some accidental sentence you say and that becomes a joke.
Okay, happens to all of us, right? So we prepare and rehearse so much, and we believe that this is the best joke in my entire script, and nobody laughs. And that is something where randomly would have said a line, and that is where everyone is like laughing. Okay. Anything else? One last.
Yeah, being humorous online, because you do not get any response from the audience.
Yes, you don't get to see, right? And that too, like how Toastmaster Farida was telling, most of you, especially if it's a contest, the videos are going to be off. So you don't even know whether they are listening to you, right? Forget laughing. You don't even know whether they're listening to you. So how to be humorous when you don't get to see the audience reaction if it's online, okay? Great. What do you think is easy? Let's move on to the next slide. What do you think is easy when it comes to humorous speech? Or comparatively easy, or let's put it this way, not so difficult when it comes to humorous speech. Looks like everything is difficult.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Once again, Toastmaster Akshay this side. Easiest thing is we can say like it's about this. If you are capable enough to mimic anyone's like so that, for example, Amitabh Bachchan is the very easiest mimicry. So that if we can make this sound, or sometimes Shah Rukh Khan sounds, or any film actor or politician sound. So that will be one of the easiest thing, I would say.
Okay, so imitating someone could be an easier one. There are some responses in the chat box. So choosing a topic, what topic do I speak on for a humorous speech? Right. So that has been a couple of responses in the chat box. Great. So the reason to ask these questions is because that is exactly what we are going to do in this session too. What or how to address these questions. All right. The moment I say Rahul Dravid, what comes to your mind?
Cricket.
A soft-spoken person. Really?
Jam.
Okay.
When you pay your credit card bills on Cred, you earn Cred coins. Use them to claim cashback and rewards. I know this sounds ridiculous. It's like saying Rahul Dravid has anger issues.
Hey! That doesn't mean you can overtake. Come, man. Come. You come, man. What about me? Hey!
Could have gone straight and taken it.
Who could have imagined Rahul Dravid in a role like this? Definitely no, right? That is the shell we will have to open up, come out of. If you are ever doubting, we will get into those questions which were asked. But if you are ever doubting that, can I be a humorous speaker? This is an motivational video for you, what we just watched. Let's watch it again. In terms of how we can be humorous. If Rahul Dravid can be this expressive, if he can show this much of anger, whom we have never seen as someone like this, all of us can do it. So that's the first belief. Couple of O's we need to have. One is open up. If you feel that naturally you are not a humorous speaker, you can still deliver a humorous speech. Some of them are naturally humorous. That's okay. So it might be easier for them to work on the script or deliver that. But even if you're not naturally a humorous speaker, you can still deliver that humorous speech. That is what you need to believe. Second is to observe. We just spoke about the topic. Where are these topics from? It's just happening around you. Just observe, look around. The problem is we think that should be something really humorous which would happen in my life so that I can deliver a speech out of it. Not necessarily. It could be just one small incident which you can just summarize in just one line. You build a story out of it. But I know, looks like difficult. So I have an activity for you. We all remember this childhood activity which used to, right? Name, place, activity. We can use the same concept to come up with or to choose topics for us. So when we say name, it's the characters in a speech. You are definitely there in your speech, right? Apart from that, there should be at least one or two. One definitely a significant person, character in your speech, which could be your mom, your friends, your boss, easy target, right? Boss, kids, right? Or your husband or wife, another easy target. This could be your characters. These are not just the limited list. It could be anybody in the world, a character in your speech. So this is the first step of choosing your topic. Who would be that significant character in my story? So just think, is there anything which has happened with my kids? Something funny. It could be just a small incident which happened for a minute. Build a story out of it, right? So first step is to the characters. Second, where did it happen? So maybe when you went out to a restaurant, or it happened in a theater, or when you say boss, it's in the office, or when you were traveling somewhere, you attended a wedding, or it was your wedding, a place or a situation where something funny happened. As I said, open up, observe, look around. Every day, every moment, there is something funny happening around us. Just that we are so closed, we are so busy that we don't observe it. And activity. The third part is activity. So when you went for a food or when you're cooking, what happened? Your cooking mishaps, right? That could be the activity or the scenario. A scary movie. I'm just giving a few examples in terms of situation, all right? Going late or sleeping in the office, your boss traveling with a really tough passenger or a screaming or an annoying kid, right? Funny marriage situations, right? Your marriage or somebody else's marriage, what you see, what you observe. Anything happening around us can be a humorous speech. Some of the examples of my humorous speeches are like, I have the habit of forgetting often. That's it. That is the one-line summary of my speech. So the entire story will have a couple of funny things of because I forgot what happened. Beena during her session spoke about we all love acronyms, right? So my entire speech was about how because I used an acronym, it was entirely misunderstood by my audience. The whole speech was based on that. It could be anything happening around us. So we could try this interesting activity, the name, place activity, to choose your topics. That was one of the questions, right? How do I choose the topic? If you explore, if you just think about, you will definitely get it from anywhere, at least from the person. If not from the person, that is the name, you will get it from the situation, that is the place. If not, at least the activity, you will get a situation which has happened in your life, not just one, maybe even multiple situations. I can already see a couple of them who have started thinking, okay, so for my humorous speech, I'm going to pull my wife only, right? I'm going to talk about my husband. I'm going to talk about my boss. Yes, pick all those people in your life who will give you abundant of humorous situations in your life. You can build it. As I mentioned, they will not give you a 7-minute speech. They would give you just probably one sentence, one line. That's it. You build a story out of it. The example where I mentioned that because I used an acronym, there was a miscommunication. That was just a 2-minute incident, but I built it into like a 2-day situation, a 7 minutes speech. So that is where we will write or build the story out of that spark which we get, that one line which we get. And when we want to deliver it, this is the image which we will have to motivate us. Now imagine this is the baby or a kid in front of you, and this baby is crying. Can anybody unmute and tell me, how would you make this baby stop crying? Just give it a shot. This baby is crying hard. Just try to make this baby stop crying.
By giving something to them, which
No, no,
is
no.
their favorite thing.
Just enact. Just enact. Don't say I will do this. Just enact. Imagine the baby is just right here, virtually in front of you. Make this baby stop crying.
What happened? No, nothing. Cool, come on.
Get into that mode. When you're contesting, remember there was one question. If it's an online mode, when I don't even know what my audience are thinking and I don't get to see audience response, keep this image in your mind. There is a baby crying. You need to make this baby stop crying. You get into that mode, forget whether there is any response. Now, here is an interesting trick. Imagine it's a physical contest. You cracked a joke and there is no laughter. How do you feel? And that too at the first joke which you cracked. The remaining 6 minutes is gone, right? You will feel disappointed. Now, let's convert this in a positive way. Virtual contest. I don't know whether the audience are laughing, whether they liked my joke. I believe it's a joke. I will happily crack my jokes for 7 minutes. So don't worry about whether audience are going to react. As I said, probably you could even keep a picture like this behind your screen of your laptop or just behind your laptop on the wall. Imagine that you are delivering this speech just to make this baby stop crying. Get into that animation mode. You will make those sounds. Mimicking came in as a topic earlier, right? I speak like Amitabh Bachchan. I speak like a cartoon character. Why? Our entire purpose of this humorous speech contest is to entertain the audience. Everything and anything I will do to entertain my audience. So would I ever go and tell this guy, hi, I would like to tell you that it is not an appropriate time to cry. See, we are in the middle of a session, so please stop crying. Thank you so much. Over to you. I will not do that, right? I would get into that animated mode, maybe some actions, maybe some sounds. I change my tone. You'll have to try all that when you deliver your humorous speech too. Don't just go with a normal mode. So that is the elevation you'll have to give it to your humorous speech in terms of a delivery. Now, let's get back to in terms of the script, what we can do. Yes, we spoke about jokes, that we need jokes. The jokes itself is an acronym which I'm using here. J is the jokes. We will talk about a few techniques on how to use the jokes. One-liners, some punchlines. You remember those movies? There is a lot of movies, right? You don't remember the whole movie, but you still keep talking about or keep saying about that punchline. Same is the case. Nobody will remember your entire 7-minute speech. But if you have such wonderful one-liners, punchlines, even after some, and if you have created an impact, even after some 3-4 years, if you meet them, they will still tell you that punchline. One of my punchlines was, I like the way you are thinking. So I make you to think in a particular way, and then I say, I didn't mean that, but I like the way you're thinking. So many people, when they used to meet me, even after many years, they don't remember the script. They don't remember the speech, but they used to tell me, I like the way you're thinking. And when you create or write the script, the jokes, keep it universal. Just look at our own audience here. So division F, if you look at it, we have clubs from Pune and clubs from Goa. You write a joke which is too specific to Goa or too specific to Pune, which probably only a Pune crowd may understand or only a Goa crowd may understand. Do you think everybody in the audience will understand? You might even think it's my club contest which is happening in Pune. It's happening in Goa virtually. Right? Why not? I use a joke. Yes, your audience who are from Goa from Pune, they might understand. But what is the guarantee that your judge is from Pune? Your judge is from Goa. They could be from a different part of the city too. So keep the jokes universal, something which all of us can understand. And as I mentioned earlier, your purpose of the speech is to entertain your audience. Make sure that you bring in all those elements. And how do we do it? In form of a story. Now, this is the big difference between a humorous speech in Toastmasters and a stand-up comedy. Right? In stand-up comedy, it's just a series of one-liners. Here, one-liners is just a part of it. I just don't say just series of one-liner for 7 minutes. It's a story. There is something which happens right at the beginning, like once upon a time, and there is something else, transition, there is a climax, there is a suspense, there is some thrilling moment. All that should be there in your story. That is what makes a humorous speech in Toastmasters more interesting. In fact, there is one more difference about humorous speech in Toastmasters and stand-up comedy. In stand-up, in humorous speech in Toastmasters, we say, do not speak about sex, politics, and religion. Stand-up comedy, they speak only about that. Let's look at a few interesting techniques through which we can create those jokes. Unlike me, you don't have a PPT when you're delivering your speech, right? You are the person. You will have to bring out all the visuals. So here, these techniques are purely based on how you can create those jokes. We spoke about how do I create those jokes, right? Let's look at a few techniques. These are not a few. There are plenty. I have just shared a few, which is something which I have tried and tested. The power of pauses. The right pause at the right time definitely has a huge impact. The best part of my life is when I have spent with another man's wife. And that's my mother. But I like the way you're thinking. But listening to that, there is one person in my audience who wanted to try it with his wife too. So he went back home, he called his wife and he said, the best part of my life is when I spent with another man's wife. And he gave a long pause, a little long pause. By the time he finished the pause and was about to complete the next sentence, he was already in ICU. So the right pause at the right time is very, very important. A descriptive comparison. I said there should be characters in your story, right? You have seen them, but we haven't, right? How do you describe them? How do they look? All of you have seen Tom and Jerry, right? In that, they show you a lady, not the face of the lady. She often comes there and shouts, Thomas. Now imagine giving a face to that lady. That's my mother. What are you doing? You're making your audience to visualize the character in your story, in your speech. That brings in an element of humor. Rule of 3. This is something which all of us have done during school days. Remember, we used to crack this joke. There were 3 people, an American, an Chinese, and an Indian. American said this, the Chinese guy said this. That would be something normal. And something which the Indian said would be totally different. That brings in like a surprise and brings in element of humor there. So same is the case. For example, like everybody here, my mom is also loving, caring, and irritating. So when I say loving and caring, all positive, like you are expecting that something similar is going to come up. And then finally I say irritating. So that comes in as a surprise, right? A rule of 3. There are 2 things you say which are similar, and then a totally contrasting thing which you say as a third part, which brings in as a surprise element and a humor there. Setup. So the entire setup, even for the rule of 3, when you say the first word and then the second word, and then you're setting it up, and then the surprise element comes in as a third word. As I said here, my mom is loving. Just like anybody else, my mom is loving, is caring. So that's your setup to bring in that rule of 3, the third word, and then after a pause. And in fact, none of these techniques are separate. It's all together. If you look at it, there you give a pause. My mom is caring, loving, that's a setup, and then a pause, and then say, and irritating. The setup, the rule of three, and the power of pause is coming up there. A wordplay. That is the word of the day in each of our club meetings, right? So this is not the word of the day like the grammarian's job, but this is more like how we use or you play with the words in English. They say curiosity is the mother of invention. My mom is the mother of curiosity. She keeps asking so many questions. So you're just tweaking the proverb or a line and then add some flavor to it by bringing more word jokes. And then nothing works than self-deprecation. Now, every time I need to handle my mom and she give me advices, I have hair-raising moments. Definitely not on my head. Now, instead, if I call out somebody else in the audience and say, like, my future would be as bald as this guy's head, it becomes offensive. But if I crack joke on my, put down yourself, your humor will go up. Put yourself down, your humor will go up, your score in terms of points will go up. So instead of joking on someone else, self-deprecate. You be the victim. You be the victim in that particular story. That would give you enough opportunity for audience to laugh. And as we have continued the techniques, here are a few teas, not the green tea, but a few teas which you can add more. Toastmasters reference. Imagine having a general evaluator for life, 247. That's my mom. Use something trending, whatever is happening at that moment like that. So whenever my mom gives me advices, I react like that one member who doesn't want to renew. I never respond. Now it's a renewal season, so you can use that kind of a response. Most importantly, title. Many of us think our speech begins when we utter the first word of our speech. Believe me, your speech begins when the title is announced. The title itself can be humorous. Mummy returns, right? Or mom and me, for whatever jokes I was sharing so far. If this is my speech and title could be something like that, where in the title itself, you bring in some humor and then people look forward to it. Your speech doesn't start with the first word. The speech starts with the title itself. There are some support materials which you can use that adding that drama. So this is essential for a humorous speech. As we said, you are talking or you are trying to make this kid, baby, stop crying, right? You need to have that drama, maybe a suitable attire for that, props, whatever required. These are some support materials which we could use. And finally, a quick look at the judge's ballot. The speech development, the script, the content itself is 55%. I mean, 55 marks actually, right? So how organized it is, there is a proper, this is where I said it should be a story, right? Not just random one-liners. And then how you create an interest in the audience. Here you cannot see their response, but then you need to believe and imagine that, okay, this is how, that's where I said keep it universal. Everybody would love it. And if it's self-deprecation, they're having fun at your cost. They will definitely love it. Audience response, you cannot see that, but you'll have to imagine and believe that that is what is happening. And that is where you'll have to come up with universal jokes and something which all of us can relate to. 30 marks for your body language. So here it has a huge impact in terms of humorous speech. Make it dramatic, be animatic, and use those props, voice modulations that mimics whatever we mentioned, bring in all that. And then also in terms of grammar and correctness, here we are not going to check in terms of how correct the grammar is, than if you can use that wordplay here, right? You can score marks here. You have interestingly used English for humor. So that is how you can score marks here. And appropriateness in terms of how audience would be able to relate to your jokes and even the story. So don't keep it too specific, which is something only relatable to you. Keep it universal where everybody can relate to it. So coming to an end, all you need to do to be a humorous speaker is Joe. No, that's also an acronym. I'm just joking. You need to be joyful first. You cannot be a serious person. You need to enjoy that 7 minutes. And interestingly, many of us want to be a humorous speaker when it's a humorous speech contest. It is like going to the gym during first week of January. No use. In every speech, try to be a little humorous. Have at least one humorous line. That would actually or eventually help you to be a better humorous speaker when it's your humorous speech contest. As I mentioned, have that in one line, you should be able to summarize what my entire speech is about. Then is the jokes. Then you work on the jokes. Your purpose is to entertain your audience. And to summarize, you need to have those jokes, keep it universal, and share it in a form of a story, and make sure that you come up with an interesting title, and all of us can be kings of jokes too. So with that, it's my time. And if you have any questions, open for Q&A.
Request people, please unmute yourself and directly ask a question, or you can put it in the chat box or raise your hand.
Joe, this is Venkatesh.
Hi, Venkatesh.
Yeah. Can we have title in the language other than English? No.
Okay.
But
we just spoke about
speech
being
title.
universal, right? So do you think everybody will understand? If there is a scope of you explaining that in your speech where you're not taking, in fact, this year's world champion of public speaking, the winner, his title was a word in his mother tongue, like a native language, which is in Zimbabwe. That is his title. Sounds funny too. But during the speech, he does explain why that title is. So why not? Why not have an interesting title in a different language, but make sure that you use it wisely in your script. It shouldn't be like just for the sake of having a funny title, but there is no relevance in the speech. Use it wisely in your script. That makes sense.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions anyone has? Unmute and directly ask.
Hello.
Yeah.
Good afternoon.
Yes,
Toastmaster Akshay once again. Yes. So is it? I have one question here about. Is it necessary to make a mimicry sound throughout the throughout the speech during the humorous speech contest, like
Then it's
interaction?
not a
Yeah.
humorous speech, right? We are doing mimicry.
Okay, no, just because was I have not yet participated for the humorous speech contest, but just I want gain some knowledge about this. That's why I asked you.
It can be a part of it, as I say, like it's to bring in that vocal variety in your speech. But if that is what you're going to do for the entire 7 minutes, which means it's like we have seen these reality shows, right? Dance shows, a 5-minute dance where they literally talk and enact and move around for like around 4 minutes and dance for 1 minute. So often I used to think, is it actually a dance show or actually a variety entertainment? So audience or your judge shouldn't get the same feeling. Is it actually a mimicry act or a speech? A bit of mimicking as a part of his speech, if it's necessary, can be part of it. But for a whole part of 7 minutes or majority of his speech, if it's only mimicking, then it's not a speech, right? There's no story there. You're just mimicking.
Okay, thank you.
Joe, Venkatesh here again. One
Yes.
more question. It is obvious that we should be prepared for this speech, but can we have that script handy while delivering this speech? Maybe
When you're delivering the speech, to refer to notes?
Yeah.
Not just a contest, even in a club meetings, speeches, only for icebreaker speech, because it's your first speech, you're allowed or it's okay to refer notes. Otherwise, you're not, because we are not then practicing public speaking or speaking, right? We are reading. It's not a reading contest.
Okay.
right? It's a speech contest. And I'm referring to club meeting speeches. So when it's a contest, definitely, even if you remember this, if you forget a line, only you know the script. Nobody in the audience know that you have forgotten a line. Just move on. This is where I said, just own that 7 minutes and just keep moving on. There are plenty of occasions where I have forgotten an entire line or entire joke. Later I realized, oh, I missed it. But it doesn't matter. Your audience doesn't know that you have missed it.
Okay.
Okay. Swapnil has asked a question. What do I do when I see people are not reacting to my jokes? Okay. So this is something which is not in our control, right? We practice, we believe it's a joke, we deliver the speech, and we try our best to entertain them. But we have seen it in our life, maybe from other speakers, even maybe renowned stand-up comedians, where it could have been a particular show, it goes where there is nobody even laughing. Even if you tickle, somebody is not laughing. It is just as like the world #1 T20 team not even qualifying to the finals of an Asia Cup. Anything could happen for anybody on that particular day. So don't worry about the trophy. Don't worry about the audience. When you're writing the script, worry about all this. When you're delivering that speech, forget it. Think only of that motivational figure whom I gave, that crying baby. Forget if your audience are not laughing. Think of that crying baby. You are trying to make that baby stop crying. You enjoy that 7 minutes. And then probably you'll have to work on what did not go well. Take feedback from a couple of your friends who are there in it to work on your next speech. But during that 7 minutes, don't get disappointed. Don't get dejected. Just keep enjoying. Just keep delivering. Enjoy and own that 7 minutes. That's critical.
Your last question, if anyone has.
Thank you, Farida, for that. And that's not just joking. Those were earned in those 7 years.
Okay. Great. I don't think we have any more questions. So thank you, distinguished Toastmaster Joe, for the just joking session today and your time. With that, can we have the poster up?
Thank you so much, Litika. Thank you so much, Swapnil, for organizing this and inviting, and all the audience. I would request, the session was just joking, but do take it seriously and participate in the humorous speech contest.
Just take a picture.
And Joe, I believe you have still not met DTM Samir Naik.
Meant or?
You have not met DTM Samir Naik.
I met him. I mean, no, not recently.
No, your hair is still not grown.
Ah, okay. I met him. He is still not yet to touch my head.
My head, okay. Maybe he needs to touch your cheeks too. No.
Thank you, distinguished Toastmaster Joe. Thanks a lot.
So a
Yes,
big
Litika.
thank you to our Division F Director, Toastmaster Swapnil, for organizing the both education session today, the evaluation and the humorous speech contest session. And a big thank you to our amazing audience who joined us today on this Sunday afternoon. Yeah. So happy Sunday, everyone. Thank you once again. And we are concluding the meeting.
Yeah, thank you so much. We'll be here for 5 minutes if